Good morning, guys. Welcome to another episode of PHEV winter driving. Unfortunately, before I get out of the house today, I'm gonna have to snowblow. There's a job I just love doing. Don't tell my wife, but I actually do like snowblowing. The joys of living in Canada. Now that you guys have seen the winter conditions we're dealing with, that should give context to today's video, which is winter driving in the PHEV. Some of you guys might be wondering why I haven't mounted the 3/4 ton plow on the front of the PHEV. Well, it's actually in the works. As soon as my wife finishes her snow plowing course, I'm hooking it up. Okay, first things first, let's start with a dealer update. I got a hold of my dealer after not hearing back from them about Canadian battery warranty. And after a couple of days, they got back to me, and the answer was that there is no number for Canadian PHEV owners to look out for in terms of degradation for the battery. It's not going to hit 20% and they're going to do a recall or anything like that. There's no number. So what they told me is that each case will be dealt with on an individual basis. I'm down 7% battery after 7 months. I am a little concerned about it, but we'll just roll and see how this plays. They were very good about it. They said, you know what, absolutely, everyone has different driving styles. They will analyze the car. There is a 24,000 kilometer procedure they do every 24,000 kilometers. And I don't have an issue with my battery yet. And they told me that absolutely Mitsubishi has my back and they would never leave a customer high and dry. So I'll hold them to that. So what you want to do when we're driving the cold, you need the heat to clean off the windshield and all that anyway. Let the car go through its normal warm-up cycle, which takes about 5 minutes for the engine to heat up. I always push the EV button so that once the car is done its warm-up cycle, it will go back into electric mode and use EV priority. Now, the reason you want the car to warm up is twofold. It's not good for the engine to start it up and then immediately shut it down, which some guys online are doing. I know they start the car and they say, oh, the engine started, and they shut it off right away. You want to get the oil and everything circulating in the engine. That's a standard combustion engine there, guys, so you have to follow the basic rules. And by letting it go through its system, you then have heat available to clean your windshield, warm up your passengers. My kids are forever complaining that it's cold in here. I don't know why. And remember, your winter driving gloves are not racing gloves. Look at that beautifully clean driveway. Okay, let's talk about the heat in the PHEV for a minute, guys. If you have the heat set to 20 degrees Celsius, you can run the car in electric mode and use the electric heating. If you go any higher than 20 degrees, the engine is going to run every time that you turn the heat on. So I leave mine at 20. If the engine is already running like it is right now, you can turn it up a little bit, let that extra heat come into the car, and then I put it back down on the 20 once we get out on the roll on the highway. Now, I've also noticed that the car uses electric energy for the heat even when the engine is running. So I'm gonna have to do more tests on that, but I think it prioritizes using the heating system before using the engine for heat, even when when the engine is running. I've mentioned it before, but your heated seats don't affect your EV driving range, so that's a good thing for the front passengers. Turn them on and use them. The 2018 North American PHEV does have cooling and heating for the battery system. We have both, and I guess they had to do that because they know the conditions that we're dealing with up here. We can be minus 30 to even minus 40 degrees Celsius quite a bit in winter here. But for my everyday driving, guys, I do drive with the heat on. So I've only done one test driving in the snow, the deep snow, with the PHEV. I had to get my four-wheeler and trailer at the end of hunting season last week. We had probably between 10 and 12 inches of snow, and I had to drive around my father's into his backyard to hook up to where the trailer was. And the PHEV, the four-wheel drive, no problem. I went right through that snow, just crawled through it like nothing, hooked up the trailer and pulled it out. Probably a couple hundred yards through the real deep snow there. So yeah, not bad at all. Up here in Canada, a lot of us drive around with jumper cables in the back of our cars. That's just the friendly thing to do, because sooner or later, if you're not helping somebody out who has a dead battery in -20 or whatever, it's going to be you that's stuck on the side of the road. It happens to all of us. It's just cold winter driving. And I don't think that the PHEV will ever have an issue. We've got a ton of electric power. However, I'm going to recommend not boosting people with an electric car. We are only in November, and look at the snow we've got already this year. It's going to be a good year for all the snowmobilers, that's for sure. Ice fishing, here we come. One of the things I've noticed about driving with the PHEV over the last 7 months is that other drivers are really bad judges of the speed of the car moving in front of them. If you're not touching the brakes, they don't seem to slow down. If you're using your braking levels 1 through 4 and you're anticipating a light coming up 400 yards away, I start slowing down. Most people apparently don't. They're going to run and gun it right up to the point of hitting the brakes 25 meters short of that light. They don't slow down. It seems that everybody's conditioned to look for brake lights, and if you don't have brake lights on, then they don't slow down. So a good winter tip is to acknowledge everybody else with a little brake light. Give them the B5, or just tap the brake to let them know that you're slowing down a little bit. Otherwise you end up with guys right on your rear end, half a car length or less. And in the winter, a lot of these guys aren't putting snow tires on. They don't drive accordingly, and the next thing you know, you're getting bumped. A lot of guys that don't change to winter tires, you'll know them because they've got aluminum rims still on their car. So watch out for those guys. Most people, when they switch to winter tires to make it fast and easy, purchase a set of steel rims, and those are just the straight black rims. So if you see people driving around, the guy's fishtailing all over in front of you, 9 times out of 10 you pull up beside him, you look at his tires, he's got aluminum rims on there. He doesn't have winter tires on there. That's one of the biggest things I was on the fence about, was winter tires, guys. I've only started using them in the last 3-4 years, and they make a huge difference. A huge difference in cornering, and when you're coming down to a stop, you'll cut your stopping time in half. The number one thing that I can recommend for driving in conditions that we have up here, guys, is to slow down. Give yourself more time if you need to. Leave the house 10 minutes early, but you need to slow down. A lot of guys just don't adjust for winter driving, and it shows. The first snow we had here 2 weeks ago, I passed 3 cars in the ditch. And this wasn't a huge winter storm or anything. This was just an inch of fresh snow. And people just don't adjust, they don't slow down. So that's the number one thing you can do, guys, is allow yourself a little more time to get to work. Start slowing down, you know, twice as far from the light as you normally would. Things like that. Just slow down. I don't know about the cities that you guys drive in, but here, I'm not ashamed to say, North Bay, your snow plowing sucks. We are on a 4-lane section of town right now, and you would never know it. We're only, 3 weeks into snow here, and what happens is that you end up with 2 lanes in the center. We're on one, and the oncoming traffic here is on the other. Well, you can kind of see the overlap there, that one. This is what I'm talking about. You get 2 lanes in the middle, and then you get a half lane on each outside. They don't remove the snow from those 2 outside lanes, and the outside lanes actually become half lanes. So what happens is that guy just passed me there, and they're about 4 inches away from you when they pass, because that outside lane is really only a half lane now. It's very dangerous. I try to avoid this section of town, to be honest with you. As well, when you're pulling out in front of other people, allow more room, because you're going to slip and slide a little bit in winter, and you might not be able to get that quick entry into the oncoming traffic that you're normally used to, and you see it all the time. And then you're at the mercy of that guy coming towards you, and you pray that he has snow tires on. So you're better off just to let cars go, wait the extra 25 seconds, whatever it takes to get into a bigger opening. One thing I do wonder about in the PHEV is the automated wiper system. I haven't had an issue with it yet, but I'm wondering that you know, quite often we get rain, freezing rain, and your windshield wiper blades will stick to the windshield. They're frozen. And if you flick the switch, they'll actually rip the rubber right off. And you see, guys, it happens to guys all the time in winter. And I'm wondering, with this automated system, am I going to have an issue with that? I'll let you know if I do. So we do put out an ice shack, and getting out on the lake can be treacherous. There's usually a couple feet of snow, and depending on the time of year, you can have, you know, a couple of feet of really deep ruts out there, and we go out 3-4 miles on the lake to get to where we put our shack, and that's going to be a great test for this PHEV. The problem I'm going to have there, I think, is clearance. It's not going to be the all-wheel drive system, but what happens is that the ruts get so deep and the snow is so deep that the undercarriage of the car actually will ride up on the snow, and you've actually got to, you're going to get stuck, and you got to get a shovel and get in there and shovel it out. So we're going to test the PHEV this winter, see if we can get out to the shack. It'll be a good test for the all-wheel drive system. So I'm off to the snowplow store, got some shopping to do for the wife. So I just want you guys to stay safe wherever you're driving. Hopefully you've got better conditions than we have up here. But if you don't, you know, just follow your basic safety winter rules. Clean your vehicle off, allow more space, slow down, put those winter tires on, and just pray for spring. There's the other thing that needs to be improved, and it's not a PHEV thing, it's in all vehicles with a backup camera system. We've got to invent a little wiper or something that goes across there, because every time I go to back up in the winter, that camera is pretty much useless unless I get out and wipe it off. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next video.